message that said, if you get here past 5 minutes over the top of the hour. Did you see that message? You did see it, Bindi. Okay, great. That's fantastic. All right, so we are message that said, if you get here, there we go. We're live streaming. Okay, so we got Kyla in the house as the last one coming in. It's 12:06 here in Costa Rica, where I'm tuning in from today. Also, how's my sound? Because right as we opened and all the women started coming, of course, the rains also started coming. So feeling the blessing of the sweet waters right now in that way. And wow, so honored to be here. Thank you for taking time on a Wednesday. We've got 22 people in the Zoom, of course. This is perfect. Magdalene numbers, starting out on the right foot. And that's it for today, because how we're going to be doing this is, as I mentioned, whoever gets in the door within these first 5 minutes will be our container for this hour, because in that way we'll be able to open it up with some clear practices and protocols, guidelines for how we're going to conduct ourselves in this space. And if people show up late, then they'll have missed this very important opening piece. And so that being said, people that aren't able to join live will be able to catch the replay or the live stream. And I'm going to touch on that, but just to keep myself on track, I have a little notes I'm going to share with y'all. Can you see this okay? All right. My mom's here. She's going to tell me that I have way too many words on these slides, but I put them together so that we can have an arrow to follow here and to really, in a succinct way, address what we're doing, why we're gathering, what the intention of these meetings are. And just to give a bit of context, the inspiration for this came just after the reality of the Motherless website was brought forward in the world, and there was so much grief and rightful rage happening on the internet in my little pocket of social media for about 2 weeks. A lot of talking about this major issue, and a lot of holding the masculine responsible, and then it just kind of went away. I don't know, maybe it's different for y'all, but that's what I noticed. And it feels to me like we're in this moment where there's so much dizziness and distortion within really all of creation, our sexuality, our way of relating to one another, to nature, to ourselves. It's really an important moment to create a consistent dialogue over time where we are not seeking the answers, right? We're not coming together to figure it all out overnight. That's why this is a 100-year prayer. The intention arrived after feeling really confronted by that website and the reality that we're facing in so many different ways with the Epstein files and the war dynamics, and not just war against people, but war on our planet, really a war being waged on the bees, and I can go on and on and on. We know what the issue is. But this memory, it almost felt like a memory that came up for me of being able to, in the next century, 100 years, about 4 generations, completely eradicate and eliminate war and rape from the face of the planet. These things are existential aspects of humanity. They've been with us for eons, and yet, while it might be an impossible thing to endeavor into, at the same time, how will we ever arrive even close to that dream if we don't enter into a conscious dialogue about it? And so within this space, we're coming together to dance with these inquiries and to ask ourselves, okay, what are we inheriting and what are we passing on, and what kind of culture are we committed to creating together? So that'll be really the main focus of these council meetings, and ultimately it's to practice being in council. Again and again I will bring us back to we're not trying to figure it all out here together. We're actually just being with one another, practicing companionship and solidarity, and living in the question and allowing over time things to reveal themselves. So that is the intention here. I just do want to presence the reality that this is not group therapy. I myself am going to stand as the lead facilitator for now, and I look forward to seeing more women step forward to be able to hold the structure of this group. And we have on here also a handful of women from the Phoenix clan that have been studying together for the past year and a half. So there's already a heartbeat here of women that have really held each other through a lot over this past year and have a deep understanding of spiritual activism. And that's going to be really the backbone of this container. Yet, while this container isn't necessarily for therapy, I want to welcome it being a brave and a safe space. And if personal things do come up, that there are so many people in this room and outside of this room that we as a collective have access to, that if there's trauma being triggered or vulnerabilities coming up and you feel like you need to call on support, that this group can be a space where we mobilize and can find whatever support is needed, whether that's talk therapy, somatic therapy, dance therapy, groups, retreats, ceremonies, you name it. Between us all, between the 22 women on this group, we have so many resources, so I hope that this can be a resource circle for us. And for those of you that are trained in trauma-informed facilitation, things like that, I hope that over time we can get to know some really useful tools for how to navigate the world that we're living in. And this is also meant to be a council, right? So it's meant to be a circle dialogue. Again, I want to speak to that it's a non-hierarchical space. Yet one thing I've been learning since starting Inheritance Collective is the importance of holding a clear container. And so I am, as the mother of this infant creation right now, I am going to claim that seat of opening us in this way, holding the limit after 5 minutes. I'm going to have a timer for shares because the intention is that we're going to dance in time and space. We're going to keep our dialogue to an hour, and then that'll be the recorded segment, and then we'll have a half an hour of non-recorded, not live streamed integration conversation. The reason we are live streaming this came up in the council that we had last month, is because it feels important that these conversations do not happen behind closed doors. The invitation is that we stand in the center of the arena of humanity and speak about the wounds of the feminine and the reality that we're facing and the lack of safety and the desire to essentially recreate society and how we can go about that. And I invite the part of you that is a leader and a midwife of humanity and a steward of culture into this space here today, and acknowledge you for showing up, for bringing your wisdom, and that as we open, there's going to be space. And of course, as the collective grows, we'll have to evolve and morph with how we hold that space. But we really want to make this an opportunity for people to have their voices heard, and for it to be very solutions driven, while not bypassing the core wounds that exist within many of us in a different spectrum. The agreements are within this dynamic of things being recorded. I want to just say, if you're going to share a personal story, if that what comes up for you is to share a story that is medicine for the group, right? Know that it's being recorded. So please practice your own discretion with how and what you're sharing. Some elders that have taught me about the art of counsel is to leave out people's names unless they're here in the space, not to speak other people's names that are not present. If you need to share a story and it includes other people, just keep them unknown by name. And then also there'll be that space afterwards to integrate. And I'm available personally if you feel like, wow, this brought up for me, I need to ask for some support, then you can reach out to me either on socials, or if you're part of Inheritance Collective, then you can message me there. Respectful participation. We're going to dance with time and space. And also keeping in mind that within this council, not everybody's share is going to resonate with everybody. Yet, let us hold each other in regard that maybe if one person is sharing something that you're kind of like, this is a waste of time, it could be gold for someone else. So really practicing that open, compassionate listening. And then, the structure is we're going to, right here pretty quick, switch into a council. and be able to be with one another and hear what each other has to say today. This event, weekly event, from now for perhaps the next 100 years, that's what came through in our last council, was like, we're going to hold this for 100 years and pass it on to our daughters and their daughters and their daughters, and our great granddaughters are going to be celebrating that we fucking did it and it's over. And like, rape is just a thing of the past. That was this barbaric action that we can't even believe it happened. And Inheritance Collective is what's really the platform here, which is a global community that raises funds and awareness for ecological and cultural stewardship. This event is free and open for everybody, but for those that want to engage in inheritance, every month the membership dues, that's $22 a month, goes towards a specific cause. Right now,
Pura vida internet connection, I think. Let's see. Sophia, do you know if the live stream is still going or if it cut out with Roxy? Aloha loves. I'm feeling like while we wait for rocks, if we want to maybe just have a few deep breaths and kind of ground into our bodies here together and just really feel and imagine this new world and this new culture that we are already creating right now, like it's happening, and to really feel that in our bones for a few moments. So I'm just gonna, yeah, invite us to just kind of sit up in our wherever we are and have a couple of deep breaths, grounding our energy into the earth, breathing into our hearts. Making some sounds, sighing out. Maybe shaking out a little energy. I'm feeling a lot of electricity moving. Just allowing a little wiggle, a little shake. Just really feeling this collective heartbeat of all of these womb carriers, these powerful beings that we are surrounded with, that we are connecting with all over the world right now. This shared prayer, this shared opening, this shared intention, remembering that these prayers, they are not just ours, they are all of ours, and that we are the answered prayers of our ancestors, and that we are doing it. And by coming together in community in this way and choosing to really open up, to zoom out into this knowing of what is possible, of truly what is possible in our lifetime, the kind of change that we get to create, that we are creating. Feeling this knowing in our hearts of this more beautiful world that we truly, it is possible and it is here and now. And maybe just to invite us to feel into like that vision of what that feels like, this world that I call like this new culture that we're creating. We call it a world of love in my little circle of what we're creating. Yay, Roxanne's back. Um,
Oh, we did it. Oh, hi.
yay! You made
Of course, Damiana takes over.
it
Just breathing and
Well,
feeling into the future we're creating.
perfect.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's, you're my sister since forever. Of course, you know exactly where we're headed. Um, and this is perfect to say, like, this is why we have a council. So, with that, I'm going to follow Damiana's lead and invite us to breathe in to the future that we're creating and to send the arrow in this direction of if we are our great great granddaughters and we're gathered together here 100 years in the future and we are imagining what happened looking back at our great grannies who started this council and imagining what foundations they laid and what actions they took and what prayers they made and what art they created that delivered us into this moment where war is simply a thing of the past and rape doesn't exist. What did we do in this time? And I'll open it up. I'm going to use the timer. I'm going to make Damiana a co-host in case I lose my internet. And welcome you to share. And Aubrey would love to start with you. And feel free to put your hand up if you want to follow. Let's try to keep the pace moving. And we'll have about 4 minutes per person.
Thank you, Len. So I feel called to share because there's been two incidences in my community here that have happened in the last week or so that have just like rattled me to the core related to our young people, our teenagers. I live on the North Shore of Oahu. One was a friend who shared that her teenage daughter shared a video, and like my heart's just like racing thinking about it, of a girl being gang raped that was then shared around to all the peer group. And, and ostensibly she may have like kind of agreed to it, but there were multiple boys having sex with her on video and it was shared. And then 3 nights ago now, sorry, last Saturday night, 20 teenagers beat up a 15-year-old and a 23-year-old and almost killed them. And a group of other teenagers filmed it and then posted it to TikTok. And so I'm just like absolutely rattled to the core of this kind of violence happening in this like beautiful, otherwise peaceful community. And I'm really feeling like there's something happening in our young people, especially around the desensitization. Like I watched the really hard to watch video that was shared online. And these kids are literally following the fight, filming it with their cameras, boys and girls, just like as if it's some sort of spectacle and not even thinking to help. And so I'm just at this like rock bottom feeling of what is happening in the psyche and soma of our young people, that they don't have the humanity to feel like they could help someone. Like, what is the violence they're being exposed to? What is happening in their being that this like mediation of the phone, and yes, of course, the kids that were beating them up, but it's sort of like that kind of violence I can almost understand because it's been around for so long. But this violence of witness, I guess that's also been around for so long, thinking of like the people who used to go to lynchings and bring barbecue and like watch that happen, right? So there's something around the spectacle too, but with the mediation of phones and our young people and just, so I'm really feeling like the call to wrap around the young ones, and that there's something that needs to happen at the scale of that, where there's just a real cry for help. And, and I have a 13-year-old and, sorry, an 12-year-old and a 14-year-old. I forget how old they are sometimes. And I'm just terrified for them, and luckily they're in this sweet little bubble that I've created, but they also live in this community and will be more and more exposed to these things as they venture out into their own independence. And I'm like, what kind of culture will be created? So I'm really sitting with the deep prayer around like, what does it look like to hold a community? And I think it's rattled the whole community so much to the core that something's going to come from this, I hope. But we're still like really in the thick of it because it just happened a couple of days ago. And the rape one has not been like shared. That's like that was more of like a mom to mom thing, but the violence was has been on the news and everything, so something may come of it. But yeah, I'm just bringing that into the room as a call and a prayer to hold our community in light, and also to name that I think this is happening in more places than we realize with our young people. So thank you for listening.
Awesome. Yeah, Megan, would love to hear from you. And I want to invite, as we create this culture, when you complete, that was fantastic, Aubrey, and so deep to be bringing that in and praying for all the community there and all over the world that's dealing with similar things. And when you complete, you can affirm yourself by saying, I have spoken. And that
I
will
have
then be the
spoken.
cue for the next woman to jump in. Yeah, Megan.
I really appreciate what you shared. It definitely like brought something. Whew, I teach a lot of, I have my own two daughters. My name's Megan, if we've never met. But my daughters are littler, so 10 and 4. And I teach teenagers dance. And I listen when I'm teaching, and I'm always listening to like, what are they, they come in with their phone. They're all so excited to show, someone's driving by, so excited to show something. Um, and a lot of times it's pretty degrading. And so when I was listening to you talk about that, there is like a culture that's been created for so many reasons. What's on the television, what's super popular, it's like we create art in order to bring awareness, right? A lot of art, especially television, I feel like it's created to bring awareness. The problem is that if your mind is not fully developed to understand that it's to bring awareness to something, you may see the thing on television and believe that you are then meant to mimic it. I truly believe that children learn everything. And I say children very much like till they're like 25. I know that a lot of people may not understand that or agree with that, but I truly believe that I needed like more connection up until I was about 26 years old. Until I had my first daughter, do I really feel like I was an adult. And what I'm noticing is the mimicking, and that everything that they're doing is a mimic. Not to really bring like art as art, but Euphoria is a huge, huge thing right now in the collective. It's a show that I don't know if any of you have seen it. And I understand that he created the show to bring awareness around fentanyl use and what happens. And I all of it, I understand. Okay. I get art. I understand art can go really brass and really intense, but I will say that the girls that I teach, they don't watch that show and see it as art. They watch that show and they start mimicking the choices. So I love that this is grounded in art, that we're talking about creating more art that can be mimicked maybe in a way that's positive. Like, how do we make it cool to have empowerment? How do we make it cool to show you can be artistic with your look and the way that you are and what you bring to the table without it being, now give it to someone else. You're doing it for the male gaze. You're doing it for someone else to see you. That is something that I have really been rooting myself as a teacher of a lot of these young girls. Is I'm constantly throwing out there that like, I don't do this for anyone. I do this for myself. I want to look at myself and I want to love myself. Therefore, I do these things because they make me feel great. And I am a walking embodiment and I am a walking piece of art. But that isn't for somebody else to then tell me who I am. It's because of who I believe. So that's just something that came through when you were talking about that specifically, is just that show and what it's kind of done in my town in California and what I'm seeing within my, sphere here. And just how could we switch that? Also, just really grateful to be here with a group of women. Was feeling kind of lonely this week, and I tell you, it only takes about 5 seconds of sitting in a space like this and feeling like we're really making a difference with our communication and our presence, that I realize that I am not alone, even if it might feel that way in my own, maybe my own community, because I'm not necessarily as like-minded in that way, but that's okay. So I just appreciate you guys a lot. Thank you. Thank you. I have spoken. Thank you for listening.
Hi, everyone. Blessings. I'll pop on here. Super grateful to be here. And Aubrey, thank you for like just dropping us right in, right? This is there's gonna be, it has to be, I think it has to feel intense. And I think, Roxy, what you were talking about is like creating this container for us to all feel safe, and like structured. Damian, I appreciate the breath. I think that might be something like throughout, like as it gets intense, we take little like brain breaks or body breaks and just like ground, because we're trying to avoid the bubble thing, and like we need to be in the muck of it. And I think one of the things that, pulling from like when I teach self-defense and martial arts, well, something I do when I'm working with women specifically is like, you're not doing the masculine approach of like, go, push through all the time. You can't, you can never stop. You have to keep going. It's like, no, that's like re-traumatizing. So I think that same approach can be like, as we push the boundaries of what we're able to hold with the intensity of what we're discussing and feeling, we get to try to keep our nervous systems regulated so that we are not, yeah, either re-traumatizing, just speaking from that energy. As it relates to children and young adults, I think what came up in the last council was like this not tier, that's not the word, multi-pronged approach. Like, what is the role that we have as women, and what can we be doing? What can men be doing? And then I think, what can we do together? But like those two, and then children, our young people. So I think it's very appropriate because they're going to be the ones to inherit this world. And ideally, the more mothers, parents, and adult humans who can shift and start to spread that out to their young ones, the better. But really, it's so much harder for adults to shift. You have to really be willing to choose versus trying to get to children the younger they are. I think the better. I think a few things that again came up last time that are coming up again would be rites of passage, bringing back rites of passage. It's interesting. I had a dream 2 nights ago, really random, and it was like I don't know where it was. I was at some retreat space or whatever, but there was like a rites of passage thing going on for boys, and they were like building one of those, those up in the trees, and you have to go across obstacle courses and stuff, but they were like carrying logs. They were doing like hard things and having to work together, and it was very clearly like a boys' rites of passage, which is really interesting. That was coming up. But I do think that's really important, specifically for boys in terms of having to do the hard thing. It's not always, usually like when girls have their first moon and you like celebrate it, and there's like this welcoming into this space, and there's a gentleness and a softening, which can also often be really important to not harden girls off to that or make them feel dirty, all the things. But I think we also sometimes miss out on, for boys, we want them to feel safe and loved. And Aubrey, I think of Tao and like this, the such sweetness to him. And also, rites of passages for boys are challenging. It teaches them how to push through and be protectors. And I think, again, um, I feel mixed about, to look at the time. Okay, I feel mixed about some of like the self-defense and martial arts training I do, because ideally speaking, we wouldn't need that. You wouldn't need to be training combat martial arts as a way to defend yourself, right? But also that's where we are, and I think bringing those aspects in for adults for like protection, for children in a way of almost like a release. Again, for boys, like I definitely was not allowed to do this as a teen. I did it anyways. I dropped my mitts in and I let the boys punch, like let them release some of that. It's fun. That's the timer sound. Um, yeah, I'll pause there and respect the timer, and I'll send you any further notes. But yeah, I have spoken. Mhm.
Hi, everybody. What a beautiful council of just stunning humans. Um, what a what a important conversation. I have two teenage boys, so I've really been in this contemplation a lot of, well, really since they were little and as they continue to grow, of um, how do I raise good men in the world, right? That are grounded and strong and rooted in their heart. And so a lot of what's present for me right now is, and what I've been applying in my life is a series of things. One is I really tend to my own internal landscape. I feel like if we want to create any kind of a change in the world, we have to start within ourselves. And how are we walking on the planet? What are we doing? So it's not a conversation that's coming from almost a place of superiority or us and them, but rather this very internal contemplation of like, where am I out of alignment around violence? Where am I out of alignment around extraction? Where am I out of integrity when it comes to defending the one that doesn't have a voice to speak? Right. And so that's a big part of, I think, being able to be a particular vibration in the world or offer any sort of counsel to anyone is to really do that, to be in constant tending to what is happening in the internal landscape. And so that feels really important to name. And then because from that also, like our children and our children's friends and children's children, all of the see us as we walk and talk and act. Who are we in the world? What are we acting like? When are we speaking up? How are we responding to humiliation on a television screen or whatever is happening? Like, what conversations are we having and how are we reacting? And so that is something that is very present for me as I navigate raising two young men. And then also the next piece of what's happening for me, and I feel like it vibrates out into the world, and like, how do we apply it to our collective community? Is I allow my children to see my uncomfortable emotions and I name them. And then I invite them to name what is there for them, right? And we have a lot of conversations around what they're watching, what they're feeling, concepts of bullying, consent. Like these conversations that honestly are kind of uncomfortable, but at the same, I've got, sort of silence from the teenage boy listening, and then just I'll ask for like a thumbs up or thumbs down or neutral if I can just see how something has landed. And a lot of the time, the conversation is even when we're driving. So it's not this like one on, staring at someone's face. So, and then the third piece to that has been, I love this conversation around like rites of passage. I think that when we want to affect change in the world, again, it starts small within self, and then we vibrate it out. And how I treat my boys when they have their friends in the household is how I treat them as well. So I invite them into loving relationship with me first, and then with each other, and then I interrupt when I see what I believe to be something that I consider to be on the fringe of bullying, even if they don't think it is. And so I return to like, what can I do within my own internal landscape? And then how does it ripple out into the world? I've spoken.
I just want to invite something that that I bring forth in my rememberships that I hold, is that after each person shares, we have a moment and we just take a deep breath and kind of allow it to land and to really feel this shared connection and coherence of how we all feel so deeply the same, like it's so resonant between all of us, and really feeling that resonance in our own body and that ripple. And so just want to invite, like, hand on heart or womb or both, and just having a deep breath and just kind of letting it land and really feeling that shared connection of all of our hearts and our true, like, deep desires that are underneath it all. And just it gives us a moment and a chance to kind of like allow it to land, and for each sisters to share, to really integrate into our own body before we move on to the next one. I see Laureen, you're with your hand up, so if you want to share.
Thank you so much. Can you all hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. I'm not very tech savvy, so thank you so much for all of you being here, and Roxanne and Damiana. You obviously have a lot, a wonderful connection I can see, and this is an amazing group of, I call us sea stars. And my name is Laureen, and I also go by Flo. It's a lot easier to remember. And I am a mother of 4 grown children. My youngest son is turning 21 in 2 weeks. My oldest daughter's 29, and she has a 3-year-old baby. So I'm a grandmother now. And this is like so important. I have 2 girls and 2 boys. I literally have a medicine wheel. I have 1 child in each direction. I have an earth, an air, a fire, and a water. And I feel this so deeply that the men and the women need to mirror each other, and we need to, as some of you were saying, you teach. It's when you become like a human, not even a mother, but like a mother or father, you become a teacher. And what is it that we're teaching our children, and now I sit with my granddaughter and I see it more. It's so clear now, like, to be so present with my granddaughter. And I didn't really, I mean, I had that and I was aware of that when I was a mother, but you're so wrapped up in just like feeding them, and making sure that they have their basic necessities, and then the I would say the way that they watch you, it is so real. My granddaughter is like so perceptive at such a young age, and I feel what a gift to be able to bring forth more knowledge as a wiser woman, that I've been through so much. And I'm not with my partner anymore, the baby daddy of my 4 children. He's a ceremony man, but he wasn't right for me, but I still try to honor him, and look at that relationship, that as something that we had to heal. We had to split, to heal, to be there fully for our children. And so, I call him my husband. I don't call him my ex, because ex is so permanent and final. It's like X, I'm going to X you out of my life, but that isn't it. And I feel like the healing that happens, the awareness that we have to bring to our children first, and then yes, teaching them through martial arts. And I facilitate a sister circle in Big Bend, California. And it's so wonderful when the young women that want to come so much, they start to menstruate and they get on their moon, and then they finally get to come to circle. And so that's like one thing that we can bring to community is the sister circle. And I'm thinking, yes, how do we do that for our young men too? Because that's where it starts. I get so focused on women because I'm a woman, but we need to really focus on our young men. And that's where it starts, because that's like, unfortunately, they have more rage and the testosterone, and that's where the war comes from, and the rape. So it's up to us to be teachers to the younger generation, and carry it forward. Did I go past my time? Okay. But thank you so much for holding this space, and I see you, all of you, and it's just a really beautiful, like, yesterday I arrived on the Big Island, the volcano was going off, there was an earthquake, a 4.1 earthquake off the coast of Kona. It rained all day yesterday, and I'm like, finally I'm sitting underneath the rainbow eucalyptus trees, and I'm like grounded with you women, and I feel like I'm in the right place. So thank you. I've done spoken. I'm done. Is that what you're supposed to say?
You have spoken.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay? Is my audio good? Okay. Um, yeah, just to quickly, I guess, introduce myself into this space as we navigate together for the next 100 years. I feel like it would be good to share like who I am just a little bit. So my name is Bindi. My full name is Bindaria. I go by Bindi. And super grateful to be here, a part of this council, holding this prayer. Honestly, so much that has been shared is, it's just bringing up so much. With the first share with Aubrey, how like confronting that is, and to honestly feel my body's response to that. Like my heart was like instantly racing, and it was a lot. And with there's just so much, I don't even know where to begin. But I think that to speak more on like a personal level, when I started to connect more deeper into the Great Mother, I really opened myself up to this like greater love. And then I started to realize that my relationship with my own mother is honestly the places where my most roughest edges come out. And she sees the parts of me that are not the prettiest, because she's my mother. I feel safe. I feel comfortable around her. She can see it all. And yet it goes to show that it really comes down to the relationship with our mothers. And again, I think somebody was saying it all starts from the internal landscape. There's also really loud something happening in the background, so hopefully everything is okay. But yeah, I'm just really thinking a lot about my relationship with my mother and how I treat her, and really taking that as the first step into holding that vibration of what it means to enter into a field that is gentle and that doesn't hold that razor sharp like thing of like violence, and something that is so extreme to the point of rape and like taking over somebody's like body and their power, and like just overpowering them in such an aggressive way. And it feels like such a huge issue, but then bringing it back down to, okay, what can I do? I can treat my mother a lot more gently and a lot more lovingly, with a lot more patience and grace, and also holding others accountable in my family to treat her in the same way, and to really call them out when I'm seeing that kind of behavior. And also with my partner too, he is in a family where he doesn't have sisters. He has an older brother. So sometimes I see him like with an attitude with his mother, and I'm like, like you can't be talking to your mom like that. Like obviously not in front of like everybody, but in private conversations, really illuminating like how it's being received when he speaks to his mother. But yeah, that's the big thing that's coming up for me right now. And I wanted to share that into space. Feeling super grateful to be holding this prayer with such powerful women. And I'm just excited to go deeper into this. So I have spoken.
Thank you so much for sharing. I want to share. I'm a steward of this movement that has come through me many, many years ago, that I've been talking about for a long time, that I call a World of Love movement. And of course, it's like these seeds, these rememberings, these visions are bubbling up, coming through all of the collective. It's rippling out because it is coming alive from the inside. And one of the things that I speak to around this is that second coming of Christ that so many people are like obsessed with. He isn't coming in the way that we've been, told. He's coming from the inside and truly coming alive from inside of all of us. And it's the same with the Magdalene codes, with the Rose lineage, with the ancient priestess lineage, all of it. Isis, like the ancient magic and wisdom, oracular magic that has always been here. It's always been inside of us, but it truly is a choice to come home to ourselves and to remember that this magic, this miracle of life, the miracle of our own bodies, it's here. It's already here. It's nothing that we have to get or search for or go seek. It's not, it can be in the medicines, it can be in the travel, it can be in all these places, but ultimately it's right here. And I've been so deeply initiated. I've become what I call a somatic alchemist by being initiated through my own body. I have gone through, just like been dragged into the depths of hell by what I see as like the dark goddesses of ancient to like bring me into the full embodiment of who I'm here to be on the planet. And it has been so deeply through my body. I've just healed from a spinal injury. I was in a walker and literally was peeing in a bucket on the floor all last year. I literally have been through just like, it's wild. The fact that I'm even like erect right now and like able to move my spine is a miracle. And because of everything that I've been through, it has brought me such deep codes of remembering and such deep embodiment to a level that is just so clear. And I want to share one of the transmissions that came through me around a World of Love movement, because it just feels exactly like what this is. And of course, like my dear Sea Star, I also say Sea Star because I'm so deeply in the Mer lineage. And like Sea Star Roxanne, that she is like bringing this to life through the Inheritance Collective, through this 100 years. It's just like, yes, of course, of course, because it's coming alive inside of us all, and we're really just here like remembering and coming together in this way. So I want to share this transmission with you all just because it feels so like simply put and clear. It probably will be too long, so I'll just do like a little portion of it, and maybe I could share the next portion on the other call. A World of Love movement, spreading love faster than fear. A call to remember, to reclaim, to rise into love together. Love is the greatest superpower. And just as fear spreads like a virus, love can spread even faster. Because love is omnipotent, already here, already within us. The new world is not something we must build from scratch. It is something we remember, embody, and activate from within. By choosing love through presence, pleasure, and play, we create a ripple effect that alchemizes fear into connection, separation into unity, and scarcity into abundance. Separation is an illusion that ends with connection. The time has come to worship at the altar of you, to see all things as sacred, and to remember that you are the medicine and life is the ritual. This is your invitation to step fully into your power, your pleasure, and your purpose, not alone, but together. The future, the now, is we. We are shifting collectively from I to we. From economy to ecology, from the lone wolf to the hive mentality, from isolation to community, from competition to compersion, from scarcity to abundance, from fear to love. I have a dream of a world where we are all centrally awakened, orgasmically liberated, and fully expressed. A world of love where we remember who we truly are. Magical. Playful, magical, exactly. Okay, well, I'll share the rest on the other time, but it literally speaks to eradicating war, and not because it was because it was rendered obsolete. Because it was rendered obsolete. And that our children's children are literally like hearing about war and these things, and they're like, how is that even possible? And yeah, so I would love to share the rest of that. It's probably a few more minutes, so maybe on the next call. But thank you for listening and receiving. I'm Damiana, and I go by Damiana Loves You because I literally love you. I love everyone and everything, even the people who have done the most horrible things. And with my coaching, I literally help people who have done horrible things, and I help them rehabilitate themselves to truly live in love. And it starts right here. We are the microcosm of the macrocosm, and if we want to see war eradicated, it starts right here. So that's what this whole movement is about. And yeah,
I
I'll speak.
hope. Thank you, darling.
I'll hop in and share um, if we have time. Yeah, okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Caitlin. Oh, I'm feeling this space so much. I'm so honored, so happy, grateful with the alignment that I got to become aware of this first meeting today and be a part of this and be moved by all of you already. Roxanne, thank you for what you're leading and organizing here. I really feel it, and I really feel the necessity of it. And I am just overflowing already with inspiration and activation for what's possible here through these connections. So thank you. I wanted to, there's so many things I could say, and I have a lot awakening in me at this time for my particular role in this greater collective mission that we're all realizing. It's a completely new chapter for me after years of working with large groups and like creative expression and reclamation through shame and but the deeper thread has always been the current of my womanhood and the way that culture has suppressed me, or I've agreed into that since a very early age, and unwinding that trauma, unwinding those patterns of suppression through my art, my poetry, and my work with other people. And there's another level that's opening up, and it feels just cosmically aligned that this is happening right now as I'm realizing my own evolution. But what I want to speak into this space is just how I'm realizing already that this movement is going to have so many roles, and it's going to have so many necessary parts, and we're going to be activated and called forward through our sharing with each other about what we see, that we collectively need. And I felt very moved immediately by Aubrey's share about TikTok. And this is a brand new, striking, and very sad synchronicity I'm experiencing this week. Last year I had a poetry book come out. I was in some meetings about marketing. I'm on Instagram. I'm already overwhelmed by technology. And people were like, you got to get on Book Talk. You got to get in TikTok. And I was like, no, thank you. Like, I do not need more social media. That feels like a world for like teenagers. I don't want to be there. Ick, right? And then this week, one of my best friends of 20 years, her niece took her own life by taking a bunch of pills. She was about 16 years old, and she posted it on TikTok, and it got 15,000 likes by the time her parents discovered it, and hundreds of comments. My heart's pounding. And I mean, it's devastating. These are our young women out there with good parents, parents, that most of the parents of our youth, my generation, like, we're not raising our children in rites of passage. We don't have the tools. We don't have the knowledge. We weren't raised that way. And so it's a massive undertaking I wanted to just underline so many things I could say, but say that I feel called forward to get out of my own way and show up to this moment. And that word infiltrate that Roxanne put in the chat, I know I'm probably at time now, but I do feel called forward now to figure out how can we take the wisdom that we carry, the passion that we embody, the tools that we have, the love that we carry as wise women that care about the future of humanity, and infiltrate these spaces that we would otherwise pass by, because there's a generation of young people who desperately need us to show up. So that's what I'm feeling today, and I'm so excited to be here with all of you and do our part the best that we can for the next generation. Thank you. Yeah, it's a spiritual imperative for sure. And I'll lead on my own breath on this if you guys want to join me, just letting that information land in the right way, in a way that we can hold. Letting it call us forward instead of cause us to freeze. That's something that I've felt a lot. It's like seeing all this violence and tragedy is freezing instead of responding. And so that's my prayer today, and I'm here for it. Thank you.
I just want to drop something very brief in about, which is something Roxy talks about with Inheritance Collective, about like the amazingness, for lack of a better word, of bringing everyone together online into spaces like this, and also the wanting to encourage and support people and separating and be like in the real world in their communities. And just with this whole focus has been around the young people in this specific council, which is, I think, appropriate. And I do think that's something to just, how can we consider doing that too? Like, is there a way to use technology, bring young people together online, because that's in a way what they want, how they're engaging, and also that's kind of part of the problem. They're so on a screen and not in the real world. Is there a way that we can, maybe one of the action steps can be around creating something for young people, either online, like Inheritance Collective Youth, something where they're brought together and also given like a purpose. I think something that when I was teaching, they're constantly being told what to do by their parents, by their teachers. They can't do this, they can't do this, and you're not allowed to do this, and that's dangerous, whatever it is. And I think if we can help them feel like they have a purpose, they're capable, they're teaching us things, whatever it is, maybe that's a way for us to do something for them that is a mix between online connection, but then like also get offline and be in person. So that's just coming through. I've spoken.
I just wanted to piggyback off of what Elizabeth just said. I've found with my girls and my students, really anyone I've ever worked, myself included, I think I should include myself as a angsty teenager in there too. I always just like to be included in the decision making. That as long as I was able to be included, like you gave, like you're like, okay, I have this thing I'm feeling, or I have this desire I want to fulfill, or this goal, right? What do you have that you could bring to the table in relationship to art, creativity, just whomever you are, whatever you like, that you could bring together, a collaboration of sorts. So as I continue my teaching and continue my mothering, I continue to make it collaborative. And so that's something that I just wanted to share here for some reason. But I just remember being a really angsty teenage girl and always feeling so angry when no one would let me collaborate. Like I always wanted to collaborate in a group, and nobody wanted to collaborate. So I would like bring it in and I'd be like, what do you think? And then they would not. Or, and then I would have something, but then everyone would just let me be the leader. They'd be like, well, she already knows, so we'll just go with what she's doing. And yet that would make me feel like I had so much weight to carry. And so just, I don't know, I'll ask my own kids, I'll ask my own kids, because they know that I'm doing this 100-year prayer. I tell my girls everything, 4 and 9, and I be sharing the world with kingdoms. And so I would just ask them personally what it is that they, um, what they, because I think that we all could do that. But just asking some of these deeper questions, or just a collaboration of what they want to bring into the world, onto the table. You know, I think just excellent.
Beautiful. Ladies, can you hear me? You'll have
Yes.
to say something if you can hear my voice. Okay, great. I'm on my phone now. Thank you. I think that was Megan that just shared, and thank you to all of you. I want to formally bring this phase of the council to a close, and Damiana, ask you if you can end the recording and the live stream. And then before you do, I just want to make a prayer and an intention that everything that we've said here today, all the foundation that we've laid, that it can be good nourishment to the soils that we're tending to here within this conversation, and that it can be not only nourishment to each one of us present, but that it can ripple out through our families, our communities, and into the world. Thank you, everyone, for your wisdom and your presence and your patience with my internet. And looking forward to be here next week. If you'd like to stay on for some integration dialogue, please be welcome. Otherwise, thanks for being present for this first step.
Thank you so much, Roxanne.
So much love. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so beautiful.
Yeah, and with that, I want to create space for. Oh, I'm back on my own.
Beautiful. Yeah, I want to hold space for the next 23 minutes for reflections, insights, especially those that haven't shared, that wish to share. If there's also more personal things that you'd like to bring forward now that we're not recording, or if
Does
you
look
have
still recording. I don't know if it's just on my end, it shows that it's still on YouTube.